Hello and welcome to yet another CPL cast here. We're in the quarterfinals. We are going to be watching today some games from the Tier 3, which we have not seen any Tier 3 quarterfinal games yet, I don't believe. We're going with the Cheese Police versus Pacific Fire this time, with the current score between them 2-1. So Pacific Fire is going to be looking to try and score some points here in the Tier 3 matchups, while Cheese Police is going to be looking to grow that lead. So our first matchup tonight, we're going to be having nerfingen up against A1E, or is that A1 Ewan Richards? I might just call you A1 Richards, or just Richards for short, depending on what your in-game name is too. But let's go ahead. I'm excited. So, let's just get into game one here. The first map for this week was Fighting Spirit, so that's what we are going to be on here. So let's get into it. In the bottom left in the red, we've got Auto Remmer. It's the red Terran, and as the blue Terran, having a little difficulty there with the split is nerfingen, and I always hate when that happens when you end up with a worker that's just behind the mineral line. It's never a good feeling when you start off that way. Kind of get your nerves going a little bit too, like not getting quite that nice start that you might want normally, but I find sometimes you use that just as a moment to like kind of just take a deep breath and calm your nerves, get recentered, and kind of just start from there. So we've got a Terran versus Terran to start us off tonight. Terran versus Terran on Tier 3 can sometimes run a bit long, so we might have a long cast today. I'm not sure. We'll see. One of the reasons it can run a bit long is because sometimes you can end up in situations where neither player is really sure how to close out the game. Sometimes it can go fast too, because you can just have, quick contain get set up on one player, they don't know how to break it, or you can just have sort of like an early vulture war happen, and vulture wars can just very quickly turn ugly for you. You're like 2 vultures short or less than your opponent, and you're engaging, and then just all of a sudden like more reinforcements start streaming in. You weren't macroing, so your defender's advantage isn't there for you. A lot of things can just go wrong very quickly sometimes in TVT. But as for the action that we're seeing in the game here, we've got an in-base barracks from Auto Remmer. Looks like getting ready to take that gas too, so pretty standard looking so far. Nerfingen though, I think is going for like a 14 CC it looks like, so going for a pretty greedy build here. But on a 4-player map, I'm sort of liking that a bit more than on a 2-player map. Because your opponent is going to have to scout you, so there's the opportunity that, if they find this late enough, they're not going to be able to capitalize and punish. But we do have the scout coming out from Auto now. We'll see if they go right or up, and it looks like they're going to the right. So Auto Remmer should find this pretty quickly, and we'll see how they choose to respond. We'd have the barracks down here. I think Fighting Spirit being an older map, I think there are some walls that you can kind of put here kind of easily, so we might see an attempt at a wall here. So we have the scout coming in here, sees the very fast command center, sees the barracks still under construction, and now the gas under construction, so Auto is getting all of that juicy intel that they are looking for. Meanwhile, nerfingen scouting up to the top is going to miss out on that first factory coming down. It looks like the workers were pulled off gas for Auto, and we do have this SCV here coming to the natural, so it looks like Auto is choosing to go ahead with the 1 factory expand. Once they get the 400 minerals, they will go ahead and throw that down. On nerfingen here, after the scout, looks like they're going to go ahead and scout the top left. Maybe could have done a cross scout here. Yeah, okay, it is going to the top left there. Or maybe not. No, okay. Sometimes the pathing on this, it like just kind of throws me off as to how far down this actually is. So like as it's going across, the workers like slowly inching down. I'm like, wait, is it changing direction? But like since that SCV got there so quickly, there's a good chance that your opponent is over here to the left, but they could have also cross scouted too. So sometimes you can sort of mind game yourself there, and you'll go and try and scout that bottom left because you're like, okay, well, they weren't here, they got to me, so they must be next to me, and then it ends up they cross-scouted and they're up there. So we have the machine shop coming up here for Auto. Nerfingen is, with the trapped SCV, very unfortunate. I hate when that happens too, like the SCV finishes one of these two buildings and then just sort of dances its way into that spot. But going ahead and throwing down their factory, they did get the bunker here to sort of help defend in case there was any sort of early vulture harass. It looks like Auto, though, is going to go ahead for tanks. I think I like this. Excuse me. Might have a little bit of a cough here while doing the cast, so apologies for that. But I like this move because you know there's not going to be any real threatening units coming out of Nerfingen for a little while with this super fast command center. So while your economy is going to be behind, getting the units to set up a contain early, I think can pay off for Auto here. The siege mode almost done. I would love to see this tank just come up straight up onto this area here and just siege up on this. Looks like Nerfingen's also going for machine shop right away, so, and getting the starport, so going double starport, nice. So it looks like we'll see some Wraith play. If Auto doesn't scout this with the barracks, I'm gonna need to get some anti-air. Well, I need to get some anti-air if they scout it, I should say, I suppose. Some more tanks coming out here, but staying home with the tanks, being pretty conservative here. It does have the barracks out here for vision, and that is one thing. Setting up a contain on Fighting Spirit can be a little bit tricky sometimes because you do have, while there is this path out, there's also the path down here that could be taken, so you kind of have to like contain this or here and here, and trying to set that up very early game can be a little bit tricky. So I can understand Auto kind of sitting back here for a minute. But now we do have the Wraiths on the way. There's a control tower here. Jin has both of the gases up, and it looks like Auto has both of their gases up as well on two factories. Okay, going ahead and getting a Goliath here. I think, yeah, okay, did scout the starport, so sees that is coming out. So I think got the control tower, but it doesn't look like we're getting cloak. So with that being the case, this barracks is actually going to buy some time here for Auto to get a couple of Goliaths out. And I feel like Auto should defend this pretty well, given that cloak hasn't been researched. Unless it wasn't, I missed it. Which could be possible. Because that control tower's been out for a little bit, and I wasn't looking at the thing here. But as long as there's no cloak, I think Auto will be fine. Second factory now coming down for Nerfingen. So we do have a couple of Marines in the bunker here. Some turrets coming down, barracks being rebuilt. I'd like to see this engineering bay actually get lifted and give some vision over here for that turret. But with only 2 Wraiths, I think this turret should be okay on its own. There's not a lot of room here at the natural to cause some issues. Actually gonna fly directly over. Oh, it flies into the Goliaths, which finished in time. And yeah, there's no cloak coming on here. It's just now being researched. So yeah, that's gonna be shut down pretty quickly until that cloak can come out. Well, now it can't even because comsats are down for Auto. So very good response by Auto scouting out these starports here. And now really these Wraiths aren't really going to be able to do any damage, and the investment in them, you know, Nerfingen's going to have to do something with them to make it pay off. I mean, they still had a chance for the economic lead, but the worker count's actually evened out now for the 2 players. So trying to move up here. It looks like Auto's thinking about taking a third or just making sure they don't get contained up here. Hard to say which. Cloak now coming down. We'll see if his scan goes off. It's gonna go ahead and chase that Goliath around for a little bit. Nerfingen's moving out onto the map a little bit here, giving themselves a little bit more space. Oh, come on. Scan! Save the Goliath! And the paper plane is going to fall. Now, these wraiths, you know, you can use them for other things. You can use them, keep tabs on your opponent for scouting, plop them at a few bases. You can use them for additional vision for your tanks as well.
Oh, what can I do
Since
for you?
tanks do range out further than they can actually see. So if you can extend their vision, then they can shoot further in practicality. Or in practice, I guess is the word I'm looking for there. It looks like both players are kind of just sitting back for the most part, letting the other do what they want to do. Otto is going to go ahead and take a third here. Neither player really wanting to be aggressive right now. We're at 4 factories with 2 machine shops. Dropships are, well, there's one complete. Second starport being moved pretty far away from the other one. And double ordering the dropships instead of spreading them out on the starports. Perhaps because the starport isn't on screen. If we, I think it's, yeah, F6, so like this would be the game screen essentially. You know, selecting that and doing it instead of splitting between the two, perhaps. Looks like Otto does have a starport of their own. Something real quick here. There we go. Didn't quite do what I wanted it to do. Hold on a second, sorry. There we go. Gas coming up here for the third. The command center for nerfingen is floating over here to the third. Let's have a tank on the side ground just to kind of keep tabs on it. Mines coming out now for nerfingen. I like this. You know, putting these mines pretty far forward, very important because it gives you that vision, so that way you can see what your opponent is doing when they move out, and not only when they do it and where they are, but what they have. Something that you can do as a great tip is like, so yeah, your mines are getting destroyed. You start to see that happen from part of the enemy army. Scan there. See what's there, especially if it looks like there's a larger army than you saw from the vision of the mines. Now, nerfingen coming up into this, or trying to come up into this high ground, sees the tank and the Goliaths. Doesn't see the command center, but that's a pretty good sign that that base, with that strong of a force there, is being taken. Looks like Otto is choosing to go for the Goliaths instead of a Vulture tank build, whereas nerfingen here is kind of going for a very tank-heavy build with some Vultures. Looks like there's some rally points not set, but with these dropships, that might actually just be a little bit easier to load them up, I'm thinking here. So, see, we've got nerfingen here moving across with a few tanks here, perhaps going to start to set up. Yeah, it looks like nerfingen wants to kind of start to set up a contain and forward. I'd like to see these tanks move forward too, because they're kind of just sitting there not really guarding or doing much. Especially there's a pack of vultures here. You know, the reinforcements should in theory be kind of guarding this spot. You have the 3 drop ships, and just looking here, looks like neither of the players are really scanning each other to try and gain intel. Comm stats for nerfingen, not really all that full, almost full, but autos are currently sitting full. So that's something that you want to be careful of in TVT as well, is that you spend some of the scan energy, don't just let it sit unused just to see what your opponent's up to. It looks, now we've got this starport moving down to the south, but there's nowhere for it to land based on where it was moving. Maybe the science facility got placed in the way. Looks like Otto trying to come out here, gonna run into these tanks. Sees that a contain is starting to get set up. But honestly, I think Otto has enough to really break this right now. But the longer that Otto waits, the more nerfingen is gonna be able to set up here. And so it could be tricky if they wait too long. That's another actually good thing to do with your scans too. And now we have some scans coming down, I think, for nerfingen, throwing down some scans there. Getting that factory count. Seeing that the starport is spinning up. Oh, spinning. It's blinking. it blinking up? It is sending signals, and then we have another scan. Scanning, seeing the third. Scanning, checking this way. Ooh, very nice scan. Forward scans there. Sees that there is a path without vision for nerfingen, and actually gonna move out here along that. So, and then just was that nerfingen checking that too to make, or checking up here to see if auto had expanded at all or not. Auto's almost up to 200 in supply. Well, nerfingen seems to be a bit supply blocked here. Now throwing down supply depots. And that is something that can, you know, be tricky at the tier 3 level too, is just not getting supply blocked. But yeah, this is part of the dangers of, you know, trying to set up the contain. We can see Auto here getting out on the map with some units. And now the vultures of nerfingen meeting Auto's army coming from a direction that was not expected. But now nerfingen knows that there is army out here on the map. A few stray units, unfortunately for Auto, pathing down along by nerfingen's army. This third completely exposed here. No units guarding it. So Auto's going to be able to go up there and deny that third. And Auto, again, lost a couple units there, but 199 out of 200 supply. Started to do an attack there, and then actually it's backing off with the majority of their force. Wants to cut off reinforcements and not let that get defended. A little bit of the tank blocking the ramp there, but that SCV is going to go ahead and lure it up. Looks like nerfingen was thinking about correcting that opening there now, but gonna have to abandon the third here. Trying to fly this command center away. Both players with a lot of minerals and gas banked up here. Ooh, now we've got a nice amount of dropships there, and nerfingen got these 3 dropships, hasn't used them, lifted the second starport, so, and there's a lot of units just sitting in the main here. I think due to the missed rally, and now Auto trying to hunt down that command center and not let it get away. I think we're going to keep an eye on these dropships. They are loading up here for Auto. It's even more, another dropship popping out here. This was all produced off of one starport too, so we've got 6 factories for Auto, 6 factories here for nerfingen. Dropships are full of tank and Goliath. There's one dropship that doesn't have anything right now. It's like nerfingen's maybe trying to either just secure this bridge or move out a little bit. The units that were defending here, I think, got lured out into these tanks, which cleaned up most of them, but still has the high ground. There's really not a lot there that can be pushed. And this little detachment here is causing some issues. Engine supply blocked again, as we can see at 172, 172, getting closer to that 200, 200. And TVT is a matchup, I think, where you can kind of build your workers, and it's all right. You'll see sometimes in the later stages even you'll like just sort of throw away a bunch of workers to make room, like if you're doing a switch to battle cruisers or something like that. And I've actually lost, oh, they're coming up this way. Okay, yeah, because nerfingen's gonna go ahead and get the third here. This gets spotted though. Ooh, not quite. Auto dodging, actually, oh, just landing up here. Okay, it looks like not gonna be aggressive here, maybe just gonna try and set up to take the map. I feel like a drop in the main, well, actually maybe not a drop in the main would have been effective because there's all these units that are still here. And now again, Nerfingen's like, well, wait, where did this army come from? I didn't see that come out. It's doing a little damage there. It's gonna go down. And now it's just a pure tank army up here. There's 2 Goliaths sitting up here. Yep, and Otto here is going to go ahead and drop the SCVs off. There we go, now they're dropping off. So going to go ahead and start to establish this left side of the map. Repositioning some units over here on the right side just to sort of monitor. Which this is a kind of an interesting position to look at in this game. So we have not really a contain per se on Nerfingen, as they are like kind of across the map in the middle here. And Nerfingen has sort of a contain on the ground on Otto. But like Otto is able to, with the dropships, go ahead and take this upper left corner of the map, and is denying with the small patch units here the top right portion of the map for Nerfingen. So going to be interesting to see here what these players want to do in this situation, or what Nerfingen really at this point, the game is on Nerfingen to decide what they want to do, right? This is at the current moment, if everything stays status quo, this is Otto's game to win, right? Because they have more bases, they have access to more bases, and here we do see a push coming from Nerfingen to try and break this small little detachment here, which should be able to. Gonna go ahead and clean this up, gain access to this upper right portion now. But we have drop ships coming in here. Can't quite click, there we go. They're gonna challenge this third base here. Very nice drop there. Knowing that Nerfingen got access to this land, but actually didn't clear the units that were here. Perhaps not expecting there to be any, and getting distracted by the drop happening here. Very good play by Otto to get that drop and clear that base out. Nerfingen's gonna retreat this command center. Hopefully get a repair on it. And Nerfingen could clear this with some of the army, but is instead reinforcing this sort of front here. But now the main is wide open without this base here for these units if they want to go ahead and move into the main. Meanwhile, this top left getting somewhat established here by Otto. There's some turrets getting the gas. Scans coming down here, checking for bases. Looks like Nerfingen's maybe gonna take this one here. It's like the one base that Otto doesn't have units at. Oh, we've got battle cruisers coming out for Nerfingen. I think the Goliath count actually might be a little bit low. It looks like Otto was actually starting to switch to adding some vultures into the army, but yeah, there's not going to be enough oh that's a bit unfortunate. Placing the control tower there instead of just landing and attaching to it. But yeah, one battle cruiser alone is not going to be enough, and now that the battle cruisers have been revealed, we're seeing battle cruisers of Otto's as well. And I like the battle cruisers from Otto at this point. You've got up to 4 bases. You don't quite have full mining going on at your 4th gas, but you know, I like the addition of battle cruisers there. Typically, I'm not a fan of battle cruisers being added to the army though when you're like on 2 or 3 base. A lot of the times you just don't have the gas to get the production that you need. And you might like have a lot banked up, but then you burn through it really quickly and you just kind of can't keep that muscle up. Now, looks like Otto or is maybe actually going to try and expand here. Dropped off a few SCVs. The Comsat here being shelled by nerfingen, but this base is out of minerals. Really, what this is giving is just gas. And it looks like we have a drop on top of the tanks here. A lot of splash damage really happening here. It does clean up a tank. Okay, and Otto is able to clear that with the units that they drop. Splash damage from nerfingen's own tanks sort of helping out there with it. Nerfingen's got the command center here. And I like this, sending the tanks up here to see what's up here, try and clear that out. And most of Otto's bases here actually are now mined out, so nerfingen would still win this. They need to keep this base alive, get this base mining, and just trade favorably, very favorably with Otto. And if Otto doesn't really expand or reassign the SCVs, which it looks like it's going to be some reassignment happening here now with the dropships, Otto could burn through their bank, so I would not count nerfingen out just yet. Now coming through with battle cruisers to sort of clear this up. There's no anti-air left here by Otto, trying to get some turrets with the SCVs that were there, but just not able to do so. Four battle cruisers coming out for Otto. He's got a good number right now. The thing is, like, so if Otto were to attack like now, nerfingen would be in trouble. And like I was saying earlier, like the longer that Otto just kind of lets nerfingen sit. Oh no, nerfingen is moving forward. This is not what you want to do right now. You don't have the economy to replace this. Don't charge forward. Gonna be able to clear this though and make some headway into the natural, but there's only 2 Goliaths here. These battle cruisers are gonna clean this up. And the battle cruisers from the other side. And with that, nerfingen is gonna go ahead and give the GG. I still think that game was probably gonna go for Otto in the long term. But Otto was definitely giving nerfingen some time to try and come back there. But with that, Otto is going to go up 1-0, and we're going to get ourselves into game 2. And map number 2 for this week is Polaris Rhapsody. Alright, and so we have in the top left in the blue Terran, nerfingen. Down in the bottom right, we have in the red Terran, Otto. So this map is a 2-player map. We'll see if nerfingen decides to go for that sort of 14, like watching the rally point move around. We'll see if they go for that 14cc. With it being a 2-player map, I'm kind of hoping that they don't, but we'll see. Actually, oh, hello. What's this SCV doing here? We're gonna see a BBS here. This is what people like to see in Tier 3, right? They like to see that sort of cheese happen. It's a single SCV, though. There's not a second one, so maybe it won't be quite a BBS. Maybe what we'll just see is like a proxy one racks into just normal play, because that's something that you can do too. You know, you can sort of proxy your barracks and be aggressive with the first few Marines that you pop out, and then just sort of transition into more normal play. Although, actually, no, here comes the second SCV. nerfingen has stopped at 8, so yeah, this will indeed be a full committed BBS here. Meanwhile, Otto is just playing normally here, has their barracks started at the normal timing of 11. Ahead, getting ready to get the gas here. She may be slightly late with the gas. I don't know. I've been practicing a lot of TVZ, so maybe I'm thinking of the timings a little bit off, but I think the general timing is usually like what, 9, 11, 12, and this is looking like 9, 11, 13. Or like just as the 13th SCV was starting. Now we do have the scout coming out from Otto. And despite this BBS, like this is the scouting pattern that you want to do on a 2-player map. Just go straight to your opponent's base. If there is a proxy, you will know that there is a proxy when your worker gets there. You just want to make sure that you scout on time, so that way you have enough time to react here. Because now this SCV should get here. Otto should see the lack of a barracks. You can even see kind of that downward motion there, kind of looking around, sees the low SCV count, sees no barracks, and knows that something is up. And nerfingen here having to move in. A little bit of fighting from the low ground, but does manage to take out that Marine, and now it's all up to how Otto micros this. And a good, strong pool of SCVs here to fight this. Maybe not quite getting the pull, or taking the SCVs off the pull, but nerfingen needs to pull these Marines back and keep these SCVs from hugging them. Yeah, this is kind of like one of the challenges with Terran, right? You can do this sort of bio cheese, but controlling it can be really hard. And there's the bunker in the mineral line for Otto, not really protecting the factory, but coming here trying to stop this factory from constructing. Will take out that first constructing SCV, but now another one's going to hop in. This factory got pretty close here to being done. Still not quite finished. There's a few SCVs though that can hop on. They don't have much life though. And oh no, running into the bunker here. And that bunker is going to be able to be repaired and should clean these Marines up pretty easy here. There's a nice Marine force coming in here for nerfingen, but I think this has been pretty well shut down overall by Otto here, especially once this vulture pops. This is a nice, large Marine force, so one vulture alone may not be able to clean up all of these Marines. Lifting the factory here, trying to pull that back to safety. It's taking some pretty heavy damage here. Probably gonna need to try and get some repair on it. I like this. There's one Marine in range there, but continuing to apply pressure here with these Marines. Factory's gonna need to be repaired. Oh, those 2 Marines kind of strayed a little bit off there. Oh, wandering into the bunker here. Trying to pull all of the buildings back to where, like, this bunker can defend them. And now the base space for Otto is very, very cramped here. Looks like nerfingen continuing with the Marine production has resumed SCV worker production here. Looks like nerfingen going to go ahead and throw down actually their natural CC. But Otto has a chance to sort of stabilize here. Oh, actually canceling the command center? Perhaps because it was seen. And now restarting it, and it looks like maybe a hex down? Just based on the rubble, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. And then the vultures thought about moving out, but not quite able to. Looks like Otto is going to go ahead and keep climbing that vulture count. It'll be a little bit awkward for some of those vultures to get out, but it's them positioned out, kind of being a little bit cautious here, looking for that pack of Marines. And just to find them, 4 vultures, not quite gonna, you know, push those Marines back and out of this main just yet. And only the 1 worker on gas, but really right now the worker count is so low for Nerfingen. Gonna need to, you know, keep a lot of the workers on the minerals instead of the gas. I like this repositioning here with the machine shop, recognizing if they give a little bit of a gap here, these units like tanks might have a little bit of an easier time. Placing a little bit more forward of a bunker. The workers still a chase here between these two. Oh, messed up my mouse sensitivity. There we go, back to normal. This is kind of funny. Meanwhile, Otto has got a second factory down, is starting to get some siege tanks here. It's like opting to go for spider mines instead of siege mode. And finally, Otto's worker ends up falling there. There's still just 1 worker on gas here, but Nerfingen is behind on the worker count. Airing out the bunker that was in the mineral line. Let's try and get that mining efficiency back. Getting the command center started for the natural here. Looks like Otto is a bit ahead in tech and in factory count. Doesn't want this factory on the ground just yet. I think wants to try and reclaim the space here. Throwing down some mines. Needs to be a little bit careful though if they cross those with the army, and like if they have to cross back at all. I think trying to lure Marines back here, trying to pick a few off. A little bit of indecision there by Nerfingen. Decides to go ahead and commit to it. Is able to finally clear
Hello,
that
my
main
friend.
there.
Stay a while and listen.
Going ahead and throwing down a bunker did grab the barracks all the way back, but hasn't landed it and produced any Marines yet, so not going to really be able to throw anything down in that bunker just yet. Otto going ahead and scouting and moving forward with the army a bit this time, or now going to go ahead and station up here. Otto really could just kind of push forward here with what they have, as Nerfingen doesn't really have much of anything to answer, right? Siege mode almost done. But that's one of the things that can be really hard when you're, you know, at the lower tiers, is recognizing and knowing when you can push and when you can't, because you're probably going to lose so many games to pushing and when you shouldn't, that you can sort of get like once bitten twice shy type of situation where you start to flop the other way, where you're not pushing when you should, right? Because you're afraid of losing further games to that push. So that's definitely something that can take a lot of time to sort of get a feel for and get that right. But I feel like Otto, once this main up here was cleared, probably could have just pushed across the map and taken the game right then and there. Nerfingen here jumping up to 3 factories. Otto is just working off a 2 with 2 machine shops, just getting their refinery now. Well, their second refinery, not their first one. I think there were a few scans. I think, yeah, nerfingen doesn't have any, so that was from Auto on nerfingen. And really, I don't get how nerfingen's not thinking, okay, I'm just gonna go kill you. Just because that SCV kind of like scouted in, saw like one tank, one Goliath. The Auto did a couple scans. Has siege mode, like, go contain. But it's alright, because, you know, what Auto is doing won't outright cost them the game, you know, right now. They're doing the safer play. They're staying at home, making sure that they don't get killed. Which, if that's what they're comfortable with, then that's what they should be doing. But again, like I was talking about before, this passivity here by Auto is really just giving nerfingen time to sort of, you know, try and catch up. We can see nerfingen's actually ahead in the worker count right now, as Auto hasn't been producing workers for a little while. Both players actually still have just the slow vultures, which can be okay. The vultures out here for nerfingen getting caught by Auto's vultures. It'd be forcing them, and now Auto is going ahead and coming out with some aggression. Hopefully not gonna... Okay, good. Redirecting the units. I was afraid that they're gonna try and come across this bridge here, which would not be a good idea right now. It looks like they're actually just sitting out in the middle here on the low ground. They are sort of scouting around, spreading out the vultures to all the different bases that could be taken by nerfingen, so I like that. As a third CC is sort of floating over here. Third CC started in base for Auto. Auto feeling comfortable enough to set that up there. Nice land of mines there at the bases to prevent the easy expansion. And then Vulture unfortunately meeting its end thanks to the siege tanks positioned here at the mineral only on the high ground to make sure that Auto can't get that high ground exclusivity there. Have to push up the ramp to go that way. This command center going ahead and landing. Throwing a couple vultures up here to go ahead and clear that vulture out. But Auto is well aware that that base is there now. See what the upgrades are right now. So we've got 1-0, 2-1 is starting up, or well, the one plating is almost done. The 2 attacks about a fourth of the way done. We've got plating coming along the way, so 1-0 right now for nerfingen. But if I'm remembering right, it's that +2 that you really want to hit on the attack with tanks, because that's when tanks will take one less tank shot to kill. Now Auto, still a siege tank up here, so it doesn't quite own the high ground. Looks like they're wanting to position up along this way, because right now this base is pretty exposed. So, excuse me, if they are able to get set up here, actually looks like they're going up to this top right corner all the way. I was expecting them to come up onto this high ground here and sort of maybe establish something here to sort of secure this base, or at least one of the lanes to that mid-right base, but looks like instead they're just going to come up to this double gas base here, maybe wanting to deny that base, because they have vision on this one. If this gets taken, then they can go ahead and move. You know, ground army is going to be a little bit annoying to get there because of the fact that there are tanks from Auto just right here. But if Auto can keep nerfingen to just 2 gas bases, which is one of the things that makes this base, or this map in particular, kind of hard for Terran versus Terran, or even Terran versus Protoss, and to an extent, Terran versus Zerg too, is just that getting your third gas is so hard sometimes. Now that army that moved to the top right corner, going to go ahead and try and clear this out here, force those SCVs to retreat the command center to lift. Or, I'm sorry, not... Okay, good. They got caught by nerfingen there. But they were just kind of returning minerals. But now the SCVs are stuck in... or rather are in the way of these tanks here. And Otto's setting up on the high ground here, so pretty nice contain. Oh, trying to fight uphill here. That was a lot of tanks lost by nerfingen there. You know, how many factors are out here? 4, looks like, but well, perhaps a bit of a miss rally here where there's no rally point set on the ones that are pumping Goliaths, so a lot of Goliaths just sitting in the main. Workers not being transferred to this. Actually, both players... Wait, when did Otto lose SCVs? Otto was at like 40 earlier, and now is at 37, so I feel like I missed something that happened. But I'm not quite sure what that would have been. Oh, that's unfortunate. The way those mines are placed, they don't cover this lane, and that's, I think, how this attack was able to get up here without nerfingen really responding to it before these tanks could get set up. So that is just unfortunate to see. Yeah, nerfingen in chat saying they feel like they should be able to bust this. The thing is, I think to bust this, well, now with the reinforcements here, I feel like this is not going to be an easy thing to bust. But I feel like it would probably take everything that's here and maybe even some SCVs. So like throw in the SCVs first, you know, then Goliaths and tanks, and sort of try to get up on the high ground. Get the Goliaths on top of the tanks, so that way the back tanks are going to splash damage onto these front tanks. And you kind of want to try and get your tanks, like, siege 2 at a time, maybe, while you're approaching this, I'm thinking. So that way, like, not all of your tanks are sieged back on this low ground, and you could sort of try and march your way up onto the high ground. But even then, I don't know if that's the best attack approach. But as it is right now, like, I feel like it would take everything that you've got here in the main and everything that you've got in the natural to really be able to break this, because if you're fighting low ground into high ground, you have to have superior numbers to break it. There's a lot of tanks sitting here for Otto as well. What? Oh, I'm guessing a Vulture must have got in over there. And then some army was sent. This is actually probably the weaker spot that could be busted. And it looks like there's some SCVs gathering here. So it looks like I think we'll have an attempt to bust this and claim this mineral only. But the SCVs just being sacrificed here. Okay, actually, they are making it to the tanks and gonna attack, and so they will be able to clear this. Okay. Oh, maybe. Actually, that's interesting. That tank could not attack that SCV, but that tank could attack that SCV, which, splash damage allowed the kill. We do have the reinforcements that were sitting at the natural for Otto, though, coming up to clear this. And unfortunately, while those 3 tanks were cleared, there were reinforcements waiting for Otto to come up. And then, okay, we have a physics lab, but it is not battle cruiser, so I am happy being made here. But now the worker count is so low for nerfingen, down to 29 from 49, or up against 49. And really, I like that Otto is not pressing the issue here. Excuse me. It's really in Otto's position, you don't need to go for like a kill play. And that's something I think that like some players can end up doing in Otto's position that can run them into trouble. Is they've got this contain, they hit 200, and they're like, well, what do I do? And I was guilty of this earlier in the season too. I was like, I guess I push into my opponent. really, and that's not what you want to do, right? So Otto is just sitting back, basically saying to nerfingen, it's your move. You know, you've only got 2 bases right now. They're going to run out of resources before I run out of resources on all of the bases on the map that I can take whenever I want. So what are you going to do to try and break out of this, right? It looks like the solution that nerfingen is going for here is dropships. But I feel like if instead of the SCV move out that happened here where there were just 3 tanks, if nerfingen had just taken their army and pushed across here, you know, they would have cleared the 3 tanks and they could have set up here, like on this high ground, because this is high ground to low ground transition, and probably stopped these tanks and these Goliaths from coming up here, and they could have, you know, taken this. But as it stands right now, this is a bit more reinforced, this is a bit more reinforced, but that's sort of the thing, like, you're not going to get across here because of this tiny bridge, right? But Otto's army is split into these 3 chunks here. And so that basically means, I mean, and this 4th chunk here, but ignoring that 4th chunk for right now, because it's so far from the front, like, nerfingen can kind of pick and choose which chunk of the army they want to fight with, right? I think the best chunk would be this one here, where you'd be fighting on even ground and be able to bust through, even though you might normally want to expand across the top with that top left starting position. And nerfingen saying that would have probably been better in hindsight, and I think, yeah, you could say that a lot at the time when you're watching your own replays, right? StarCraft, one of the great things about it is that it is a game of imperfect information, so you don't know everything that your opponent is doing. And really too, like, it depends on your, it looks like a bit of reinforcement here, something kind of getting caught. I think there was something poking in there just to sort of see what was going on. Yeah, it's like, depends on what your goal, what you were thinking your goal was during that part. And actually, that's kind of a nice little avenue there. But getting the dropships maybe a little bit too spread. Oh, one of them getting picked off, unfortunately. But yeah, there's a lot of army sitting here back at home. So actually the rallied army, oh, another dropship getting picked off. So there's only 3 here, and there's a lot of dropships for Otto here too. So a few forces are going to get to land, which might do a little bit of damage. That's a lot of starports with control towers. Wow. Okay. And that dropship there gets caught. Oh, that just cut Otto's defense size there quite a bit. Yeah, I don't think I liked picking up with the dropships and trying to drop on the army. That actually is letting this do a lot more damage, I think, than just running up would have done. I don't think this is going to kill, but this is definitely doing some damage, forcing all those starports to lift. And while that's happening here, nerfingen is going ahead and doing this push out here. I'd like to see a couple of tanks maybe siege up while the rest sort of just push forward, but getting close. Oh, the tanks for nerfingen maybe just being a bit too clumped up there. One shot killing 4 of them. Yeah, not quite going in nerfingen's favor. I think if like maybe 2 at a time had been sieged, that fight could have gone a lot different. But let's just look at the upgrades real quick though. 2-2 against 2-3. I mean, I think tank on tank siege shots are still just gonna do 2 damage for both sides. Actually, they lifted the starports, but just left them there to be cleaned up by nerfingen. So this little drop actually did a lot more damage than I was expecting. Now Otto able to clean it up, and unfortunately, with the attack over here that failed, Nerfingen hasn't been able to establish another base for themselves just yet. This Marine spotting these dropships here, but a couple of them are actually empty. Actually, the forward ones are empty. I wonder if that move is intentional, so that way if there is any anti-air, you know, they're going to focus on the empty dropships before the full dropships get targeted. I don't know if Otto actually saw those because nothing attacked this Marine. There was no alert. And Otto is a little bit busy here trying to repair. I actually lost 2 of their factories, so their macro ability will be hurt a little bit here, but they still have a very strong contain going on here. Only 1 worker on each of these gas, and the worker count for both players still extremely low. Nerfingen able to force this command center to have to lift and pull away. Now Otto looks to be going for battle cruisers. Ahead and trying to get that top right a bit more saturated. The main is out. There's almost nobody mining at the natural. That's kind of unusual. There's like maybe enough workers here to have a little bit more than 1 per patch, and then this is not quite at 1 per patch. Yeah, worker count's very low here right now for the players. And gonna try and get a command center out here, I think, but this mine is going to be in the way. Not going to be able to land, and that Marine is there as well, so could be a little bit of a problem here. Now the main has mined out. For Nerfingen. We've got perhaps the last attempt here. Flying over the spread out Marines. I feel like these units would be better served landing over at the like 9 o'clock base, or not 9 o'clock, what would that be? Yeah, 9 o'clock-ish base. To secure that. But this is a large force dropping off here again on the exact same spot. This time auto positioning some units so that they can fire instead of losing the dropships. And we have the battle cruisers coming out here now. There's not enough Goliaths now cleaned up. These 3 battle cruisers can clear the rest of these tanks and vultures up now. Dropships making it back home. And with that attack, that was the last hurrah attempt there by Nerfingen. Otto is gonna take this one 2-0. Not bad TVT play from both players there in the tier 3. And with that, that is going to put Pacific Fire at a tie here. Go ahead and get that updated. So with the other matches that were cast, plus this one, that puts them at 2-2. Up next, we're going to have Dada up against Jarcino. And again, the first map is Fighting Spirits. So let's go ahead and get that loaded up here. And this is a Zerg versus Protoss. So we have that Terran Mirror matchup here. Now we're going to get a little ZVP action going. Sure everything is right here. Also, really quick, before we jump into the next game, just want to give a quick thank you to Dustin Lance for the host, Hemperor for the Prime sub for 2 months in a row. Thank you very much appreciated. And IRK Supperman, thank you for the follow. Let's get game one from Dada and Jarcino underway here. We've got Jarcino spawning as the red Protoss up at the top right of Fighting Spirit, and Dada spawning as the blue Zerg up in the top left. So close positions here for the players. And this is a matchup that I'm a little less familiar with, being a Terran player myself, but generally I can kind of get a feel for what's going on. Been watching a lot of Protoss and Zerg, Protoss for Zerg and Zerg for Protoss from a couple of teammates that have been practicing a lot, so I have some ideas of what is going on in this matchup here. Protoss does look to be going for at least a forward pylon. See if they want to go gateway first or if they want to go forge first. Have the Overlord scouting over to the right, so we'll see that Jarcino is here, especially with him building in that natural. Looks like probably see some sort of... Oh, actually, we have the pull coming down here on 9, so it's an over pull. And Jarcino going for that early scout, and we do have the forge coming down here. So gonna go forge first. And actually doing a double scout here, since the first scout was not found, going ahead and scouting again. And this is done so that the Protoss can know what the Zerg is doing a bit faster, just in case, so that way you don't get the last scout. And that way the Zerg can't really surprise you with a whole bunch of Zerglings, because you've got a worker in their base now. You know exactly what's going on. Sees the pull just finished. Now I'm just kind of going to watch those eggs, see what comes out of them, to see what they need to do. Going to go and throw down a cannon here. Bringing that other probe home. Meanwhile, we have looks like another cannon, or no, sorry, that was still just the first one. They just take forever to build, apparently. Gateway coming down. Unfortunate for Dada here. Did not recognize that that Overlord was in range of the cannon, so that Overlord will get picked off, doing a quick supply block here. Dada not opting to morph an Overlord just yet, now does so. Dada going for a third base here as well, so going for a more economic, macro-heavy build, it looks like. Gateway for Jarcino is finished. We don't have any Zealot production just yet, but Jarcino knows that, you know, these are the two Zerglings that Dada has. They're chasing this probe, so as long as they're there, Jarcino doesn't really need to worry about them being right. Got the worker transfer going on between, or from the main to the natural. Got the Hydralisk Den here being morphed. Looks like there's maybe a little bit of a misclick there. Going for Hydralisk Speed. Originally getting the Grooved Spines, and then canceling it quickly for the Hydralisk Speed. And the little probe that could manages to make it out alive. Good job, probe. May you be rewarded with being able to cut mineral patches or gather Vespine gas, or just, you know what, retire on that high ground there. You get a retirement home, I guess. Okay, no, actually, it's being put out back out to scouting duties, so probably won't make it home after this, but we'll see. Citadel of Adun underway. So I'm thinking we don't see a starport. We see a citadel coming up. I'm wondering if there's going to be some sort of speed lot timing. Almost building a second citadel. Now going ahead and throwing down the forge. They are shaped the same. I could see in the heat of the moment they're throwing down the wrong building. But, oh, actually we're getting a Templar archive, so maybe not a speed lot timing then. Checking up here to see if the third was taken up here, but it is not. So gonna find the empty base here. Looks like Dada going ahead and starting up that drone production. And now with the number of Hydralisks that are out there, a few more cans being thrown down by Jarcino. I don't know if those are really needed. This doesn't feel like enough Hydralisks to bust this, but maybe it is. I mean, with range, once range finishes, they will be able to hammer on the gateway and the forge. You know, without repercussions. So maybe just preparing for when this wall is no longer here. Oops, actually, I need to update really quick. This part of the overlay. There we go. Leg speed now being researched, but yeah, like I'm a little bit confused by where this build is aiming to go, just because we got this citadel. And then instead of getting legs right away, we went ahead and got Templar Archives. Templar Archives does not research anything, so it's just kind of sitting here, not doing anything for Jarcino. And now we have legs. You know, we do have Storm being researched now, but it feels like this could have been like, you know, leg speed and then the Templar Archives. Looks like maybe a bit of a supply block here for Jarcino. the Protoss think like, well, my worker doesn't need to stand there, so like build 4 pylons and then go back to mining. Whereas the Terran thing to do is you'll see like 3 or so SCVs suddenly building depots, right? Like, I got supply blocked. Fourth now being taken for the Zerg. But the drone count is a bit low. Like, there's been no move out by Jarcino. I feel like the Zerg has had a lot of chances here to actually just drone up, right? Could be like almost equal drone worker count, I feel, if you know, some of these Hydralisks and some of these Zerglings had been drones instead. But I can understand, you know, why they were made to be military units instead of workers, because I mean there are a fair amount of zealots here, and if these zealots were to move out, you know, and there was less military here, that could be an issue for Dada. But as it stands right now, Dada has definitely had opportunities, but it looks like they're kind of doing a little bit of equal droning and worker count or military count here, because we got 2 drones, 2 Hydralisks, and now we've got lurkers started all the way up at the front here. So going to lay down those lurkers, hopefully spread out in a nice way so that only one storm, or so that a storm can only hit one Zerg, or one lurker at a time here. And it looks like Jarcino's gonna try and move out here just as these lurkers finish. They're gonna have to burrow quickly here, which does set them up for a very juicy storm here. 3 of the lurkers getting badly injured. Gonna need to try and, yeah, spread them out now. That was kind of just very lucky timing there for Jarcino to move out as this were popping, forcing that burrow to have to happen. So that way, you know, they'd be clumped up and more easily damaged. Pulling the damaged ones back, sending them home for defense duty. That way they can go ahead and heal up and not quickly die while morphing. A few more here. And looks like Dada is starting to hit into a supply block of their own as well. Not quite getting an Overlord just yet, and that's something that I hear can be a thing that you run into now, getting 3 Overlords. Where you will, you know, lurkers, so Hydralisks take 1 supply, lurkers take 2 supplies. So when you morph a Hydralisk into a lurker, you need a supply for you to do so. And then that unit is going to take up 1 more supply than they were previously. And so I hear sometimes that can kind of, you know, cause you an issue where you think you have what the supply that you need, and then suddenly you don't have any more supply for you and you get supply blocked. And now, since these buildings did not fall yet, Jarcino is going to go ahead and tear down this gateway and a couple of the cannons, so that way their army can get out of the natural a little bit easier. I'm a little bit worried about this placement here. If Dragoons for any reason pop out in these corners, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But I think it would be pretty... Actually, it's probably easy for this one. Like, so this Dragoon sitting here, I bet the next Dragoon out of here gets stuck up here. This one, though, it would be hard to pop a Dragoon over here. Just because all of this would need to be covered, I believe. Our observers out on the field, though, so gonna be able to see the lurkers, but pretty nicely spread here. Ooh, what juicy storm are you gonna do? Pretty nice. They're pulling the army too. They weren't on hold position, so a few of them being dragged up in there. This is gonna be tough for the Protoss to push out of. It looks like the army not quite coordinated here, trying to get out, but still struggling a little bit with this. There's like 3 Dragoons just making this choke unnecessarily tight. Clears out some of the Hydralisks. That Dragoon just clearly wanted to hug the Zerg, and the Zerg was just like, no. Making a little bit of headway here. Might actually be able to clear this. There's this Templar that's like kind of full energy. Throwing down a couple of scans here. Gonna get these lurkers. Got a little bit too ambitious there with them. But now that the observer not in position, those dragons taking a lot of damage from the lurkers. Now the High Templar are getting picked off, unfortunately. They were pretty far forward there. Now, that storm, I think, did hit 1 lurker, if not 2. Nice storm there on the Hydralisks, picking a few of them off, but we're getting a shuttle now. Running out. Okay, they're good. There is. I was gonna say running out without the observer there again, but brings the observer forward now. Storm on the overlords that have kind of gathered here. Protoss has such a small army right now. I don't. Oh, well, I was gonna say I don't know where the rest of their army is. It's just sitting right there in the natural. Protoss maybe breaking out of this. The lurker's not being burrowed right now. poor lurker trying to run away from the zealot here. Protoss still not quite able to break this contain. Might be able to get a little opening here, but again, like, the army's looking very, very small currently for Protoss. Manages to get the high ground here, though. It really needs to get this base going. Does have a bit of a bank, though. But this main is about to run out. Looks like Jarcino does not want to get stuck up here on the high ground, so going and pushing all the way down to the low ground here. But that is a long path, and then you're going to be fighting without the choke available to you. I'd really like to see these units actually pull back and utilize that choke to stop Zerg from pushing into this base. We'll see, though, if Dada decides to press the issue there. This natural, though, is starting to get low on minerals as well. 200. Yeah. Protoss is almost starved out of minerals. This will be the only mining base for the Protoss pretty soon here. Now we have some zealots trying to run in here. But the observer getting picked off, and now the lurker's doing a ton of damage. High Templar getting picked off. But Jarcino deciding to use the long way around to try and get out here. We'll see where they intend to go with this small army. It's like a fresh batch of Hydralisks just finished up as well. Some of the army got a bit distracted and pulled into the forces that are across the bridge. We've got more, oh no, sorry, those are just probes. I thought that was more reinforcements coming along the way. They're going to go ahead and engage. These are 3-2. Hydralisks are only 2-0. Yeah, there's no observer here. The Dragoon got separated somehow, so Dada able to clean that up pretty easily. Oh, it looks like there was a storm drop here. In the main, scored a few drones, but I don't know. It looks like is this? I think this was the Dragoon that was harassing the Overlords. Wandered all the way down here. Yeah, I think this has been a really well executed contain here by Dada on Jarcino. I think even with that storm drop here, like the worker count still 31 for Dada, which it could be a lot higher. But at the same time, you know, it's I think what it needs to be, right? A couple of storms going down, getting a lot of juicy kills there on the Hydralisks. Trying to come down again, but if there's two Hydralisks that aren't burrowed right now. If they burrow, it looks like Dada wants to push up this ramp here, but not quite going to be able to do so. A couple of the lurkers, though, burrowed in range of the cannon, so taking some damage. A little bit of discoordination there. Not quite getting the commitment from the units to get up there as you might like to see. And it looks like this attempt will be repelled here by Jarcino. Some more reinforcements coming in, so Jarcino not going to be able to leave this ramped area, but you know, for now, Jarcino is still alive with the one mining base. But the bank of minerals has been essentially worked through. A couple of Dragoons can't get out because of the unrallied gateway here, causing a bit of an issue. I think this game is sort of spiraling out of control quickly here for Jarcino. I do feel like this game is a bit closer than it could be, though. If Dada had droned up a bit harder at some point. There's another storm drop down here. But the High Templar does get picked off, and now the shuttle is all alone. We have another breakout attempt here. Some good storms coming down, dropping some of the Hydralisks, but it's still just not enough to fully break through this. But Jarcino is basically just like, I could throw storms all day if you just want to walk into them, Mom. I'll take that. Trying to make some space here to have their army come out a little bit early or easier. Be thinking about making like sort of one last stand push scenario coming across the bridge here. As long as the storms aren't too juicy, which the storms are now out, I feel like Dada is going to clean this up here and stop this push from getting too far. The Filer's out on the ground, out on the field now. Shuttle coming on home now.
Hello, my friend.
It's been kind of interesting. Like, so we have the Terran versus Terran, and now we have the Zerg versus Protoss that's kind of playing out like a Terran versus Terran. Where you've got this contain and like there's small spurts of action, but a lot of downtime. You know, running his zealot out. Like, I've made it, freedom! But being hunted down by a Hydralisk here. This Hydralisk should be promoted to a hunter killer with the way that it's chasing this zealot. Zealot gets 1 kill to its name. It's a second one, but then gets caught by the Hydralisk here. And yeah, I just don't think Jarcino's gonna really get the army size. They keep trying to move out with like these small packs. Trying to squeak out a probe here. Ah, that Defiler not quite getting that swarm down in time to help itself. Are those lings dying to the cannons while under swarm? That looked a little bit weird. Maybe there was a storm that I couldn't just quite make out. Yeah, it looks like a lot of swarm going down right now. And if this third falls, this is going to be it. There's a lot of reinforcements still coming in. I don't quite think this is going to fall in this attempt. But with Dark Swarm now, this might be a bit of trouble here for Jarcino. I don't know what it was, but something about when the Zealots just changed and moved over there that like almost looked like StarCraft 2 Zealot charges. It just felt like they moved a lot faster for a moment there. Yeah, I think Jarcino just trying to throw some units at the expansions around here, trying to cause some havoc. But again, it's like such a small force moving out. I don't think it's really going to do anything to impact the game long term, unfortunately, for Jarcino. Jarcino trying to establish, just knows that there's this Zergling here, so needs to get a cannon, but as soon as that Zergling gets picked off, like, this is going to get attacked. And actually throwing down a lot of cannons here, I think knowing that that is going to be the case, right? Shuttle here ferrying some more probes along, or actually zealots along. Gonna guys clean up that Zergling. Try and help defend this base here. A lot more lurkers being morphed. It looks like Dada is gonna maybe try and break up here. Throwing a few more lings. That swarm being thrown a little bit too far forward. Very nice move by Jarcino there. With those zealots blocking the Zerglings from getting in here for a little bit at least, but now with the freshly morphed lurkers here getting under, a lot of storms coming out. The Templar had a lot of energy, but that's looking like this mining base is going to fall. Some reinforcements trying to be sent in, but I might be able to still keep it alive for right now. And I'm surprised that Dada hasn't shut down this bottom right. Dada had the Zergling, it got cleaned up, but maybe they just didn't see the buildings. Jarcino can get this bottom right running. I mean, it'll give them a much better chance of winning than just being on this one mining base. But I feel like there's just so much stuff from Dada that, like, this is still Dada's game to lose, I think. More Zerglings coming on here now. I think we've got the, yeah, the Defiler Energy upgrade on the way. Now a few Hydralisks being sent, and now we're starting to see a flood of Zerg down into this bottom right, and With that, these lurkers would have been good to burrow before doing this push, just in case anything comes down that ramp to try and save this base, but unfortunately for Jarcino, this bottom right is looking like it's gonna fall. We also have a little bit of a push attempt into the main, or perhaps Protoss army was luring the Hydralisks out. Now the Hydralisks try to lure things into the lurkers here. The bottom right does get cleaned up. Robotics facility at the bottom right actually was underway. Perhaps going to try and get a Reaver. Could have canceled it as there's no power to it, but a little bit of headway being made here, but Dada now pushing into this third, and here we have the forward hatchery. But yeah, this is sort of like the last push by Jarcino. Jarcino does not have any minerals to build a Nexus. If this push is not able to kill the Zerg, then this is probably going to be the game. Here come the reinforcements from the Zerg's hatcheries. Some valiant effort storms there, but here come like the last batch of zealots. Actually getting out onto the map a little bit here, but too little too late. Let's just check the upgrades real quick here. We've got 2-0 and 3-3-1. There's just so many Zerg units and macro ability, and trying to push into the natural here with these 3 units. A few more reinforcements too that must have been stuck in the main that are coming out, but they're just getting destroyed by this lurker field. And then the storm's just a little too late. Nice little massacre there of the lurkers, but trapping the Archon there, getting a nice surround on it. And with that, Jarcino will give the GG to Dada, and Dada will go up 1-0 in this series. Very nice contain there by Dada on Jericho, just not quite able to break out of it, and we will go on to Polaris Rhapsody for our second game of the series. Right, and so we have Jarcino spawning as the red Protoss up in the top left. Oops, I sped it up for just a moment there on accident. And down in the bottom right in the blue Zerg, we have Dada. That last game, Dada kept Jarcino on 2 bases for so long, and then just kept Jarcino just to the 3 base. Was able to starve Jarcino out of minerals. Jarcino went for that early expansion with the Forge first, so we'll see if they do a similar plan or if they're gonna mix it up at all with a different opener. It looks like it is going to be that forward pylon into that expansion first, I think, here. I see a question in the chat. This is actually These is human players. So this is human versus human instead of being AI versus AI. This is the Coach Pupil League Season 7 quarter finals playoff round. So these are amateur level players playing against each other. It's a learning league that's split into 4 different tiers. So this is tier 3, which is the lowest one in the series where you get in the league where you get quite the wide range of skill between the players. It's a great league. We're coming up. Next week is going to be the finals. So this week that was played is the semifinals. And then next week will be the finals between the 2 remaining teams. The games that we're casting here are from the quarterfinals. Casts are usually a week behind of the games that are being played live. If you want to get in on the action, there is a Discord. Actually, let me grab that Discord link really quick. I don't think you'll be able to get on a team right now. But give me just a moment here, and I will get the let's see. Oops, that's the wrong Discord. Almost gave you an invite to my team's Discord, which would have not been what I wanted to do there. That's no problem. Oh, yeah, that's right. I never get a... Alright, so I can't link you to the Discord, unfortunately, but I can get you something else here. So this link here is all of the information about the league, the current running league. Yeah, I don't know why I can't get that link, Emperor. For some reason, when I click to get the shared link, it just gives me up to .gg/. No idea why. There's also a link to the Discord in the teamliquid.net post that I put up there. You're probably not going to get in on this season, and there's no word on when the next season is going to start. But you can still get into the Discord for CPL. You know, there's always people looking for, well, maybe not always, but there's oftentimes a lot of people looking for games. You know, you can try and find somebody around your level to play with, or if you want to play against better people, there's, you know, sometimes the better people like to play against lower and help you to get better. There's also people that don't play games in the league, but they act as coaches that are extremely good players. I mean, we're talking like high AS rank level players that can help look over replays and stuff. Typically, I think those coaches are more inclined to help during the season because they get assigned to a team and then they help that team. But I know it's really been a big help to me in my play. I've definitely improved as a player from when I first joined the league here. And now that we've kind of given the CPL spiel here, we'll go ahead and get into the action of the game. So we have seen the fast expansion by the Protoss here. I don't know if it was Forge or Gateway first. A few more cannons being thrown down. The Scout's still alive, actually, hiding in the corner there. We've up to 3 base Zerg here. Looks like we've got Hydralisden. Speed is being researched. And we've got our continued probe production. The drone and the probe count almost the same here, so I think a pretty good job of droning up by Dada here. Few Hydralisks being produced, being sent up here. Some decent vision coverage. Looks like there's maybe a little bit of a miss rally. A drone going all the way up there. Yeah, a little bit of a miss rally. The drone getting up there. Well, not necessarily miss rally per se, but the rally point is set up there for the military, but you got to catch the drones when they're up, when they hatch, right? So that they don't go all the way up there. Ooh, a gateway in the main. This is why you want to make sure that scouting unit doesn't stay alive in there, right? Because you're going to get shenanigans like this. This could just completely wreck Dada. Dada's going for that sort of Hydralisk contain again that they did in the first game. And if all of their armies up here and then suddenly there's like 4, 5 zealots in their main out of nowhere, that is not going to be good news for Dada. So we'll see how this plays out here. I don't think that would be the reason for the link issue, the streamer mode. It could be. After this match, I'll give something a try to confirm if that's the case or not. I'll try and grab a link from a different Discord just to see what it gives me. But here, the gateway does fall. There's no gateway in the main just yet. It's now being replaced, so... Yeah, there were only 2 zealots here because... Oh, there's no zealots have been produced out of this just yet. Actually... Huh. So we'll go back to the front here, but I never zoomed in that far on the graphic of the gateway before, and there's like this bar across that. It doesn't look like the wireframe. You're like, what is that? No, those are there in the wireframe. Okay, I'm sorry. The details that you never really notice until you actually like zoom in and take a good look at it, right? Have another, some more gateways being thrown down here. Oh, even better. Instead of zealots, it's Dark Templar, and there are no overlords nearby. No overlords in production, none nearby. They've all been rallied up towards the front here. Oh, this could get nasty very quickly. One is done. I'm also kind of zooming in really far when I'm down there because like the overlay kind of covers it. I can go ahead and hide the unit overlay for right now. As I think we're about to see some action over on that side of the map. These drones have no idea what's going to be coming for them soon here. Now Dada doing a good job though of spreading out around the map, just trying to get vision. Trying to watch for any sort of expansions, taking a mineral only of their own, another one. But one thing I'm worried about though is this lack of vision back home, right? Or the lack of detection back home. Now we have the 2 Dark Templar coming out here. If they can just target drones, there's going to be no alert of an attack for Dada. And these drones can just be eaten up. Oh, this is so good for the Protoss and so bad. Oh no, now they have attacked a building, so I think Dada knows what's up here. There's 3 Dark Templar now though in here. Another one having popped out. Being forced to run them back. This is like the nearest Overlord, so could pull those forward, but oh man, there's no evolution chamber either, so they can't get a spore colony. The lair being taken out. Oh no, this is not good. These 2 need to be re-engaged though. Overlords do pop up, so the lair is going to maybe be able to... Oh, that Hydralisk getting wiped out though. But now with the 3 of them here, this is going to be close with these Hydralisks trying to morph here. The lair could be sniped. And the lair gets sniped in the main. Oh my. The sneaky gateway in the main. Nothing happened in here at the front. Oh, and now Jarcino's thinking about making a move out here, but decides to pull back. Didn't quite get the spawning pool. Could get it still. It is pretty low health, and with a 3 Dark Templar, they're dealing 40 damage each. 43 damage each, actually, with the +1. Only thing that's missing here really is like some storm up at the front here. I'll take out some of these cannons so that the Dragoons can get out easily. Oh, and now it's just a Zergling massacre here for the Dark Templar. Being careful not to get in range of the Overlords. And now this gets found out, but another Dark Templar was able to finish. Meanwhile, over here, we've got more Dark Templar doing work. 7 drones left for Dada. And Dada's going to call the GG. So we've got a 20 kill Dark Templar, an 18 kill Dark Templar, 8 kill Dark Templar here. I think there was another one at one point. It might have got picked off. And Jarcino is getting ready to move out of the front. So very nice play. Tucking away that worker, getting this gateway, and then getting those Dark Templar. Tying the series up 1-1. Jarcino could still add a win for Pacific Fire. We're going into game 3. Which will be on Polypoid. And really quick, I'm going to test out if, let me go, because I have my own Discord. Let's see if I can do an invite from there. No, I get a full invite link from my own created Discord. Let's see if I do a different Discord that's not mine. Yep, I get a full link from there as well. So I'm not sure why I can't get an invite link from the CPL Discord. That's really strange. Huh. Problems for another day. Going into game 3 on Polypoid between Dada and Jarcino, the score is tied. We have Jarcino spawning as the red Protoss in the bottom left. And up in the top left, we have Dada spawning as the blue Zerg. And again, we are on Polypoid, which I feel like is Fighting Spirit 2.0. Much better version of Fighting Spirit. It's the same tile set, 4-player map, bases in the corners. To me, I like this map more than Fighting Spirit, because you still have like, the choke. You have one choke instead of like the sort of bridge and a second way out. You even as a Terran player, because like Terrans I think tend to like Fighting Spirit because you've kind of got the easy third base to take. But if you can get yourself out here, you can. And I always forget that there's these little guys. Hey there, Ursidon. It's a good little Ursidon hallucination, and it's gone. So you've got this base here that you can go ahead and take. Or you can work your way down here depending on where your opponent is and everything. You've got this mineral only that's on the high grounds here. There's just a lot to this map. And it's interesting too, I actually found a mapping site where, people who make these maps, I don't want to say professionally, because it's not like they get paid to do it, I don't think. Maybe they do. But that like do it more on a very high level. I found like sort of the file history of this, and it was kind of cool to look at that and to see, people making suggestions to changes in the terrain and, build flags and stuff like that. It's interesting to take a look into that sort of side of the game. Looks like we're seeing the Forge expand again. And I think that was an overpull. I wasn't exactly paying attention, because I was kind of busy thinking about that hallucinated Ursidon that's now no longer with us. But there's still the Cockaroo though. If I can click the Cockaroo. But let's see here. Got the worker being chased. There will be no secret gateway in the main this time, Mr. Probe. These Zerglings will see to it that that is not the case. And this is actually something that can be really hard to do, I think, as a player, is keeping your scout alive while macroing back home. Or, you know, well, not necessarily macroing, I guess, but executing your build back home. That's hard to do. So, and Jarcino seems to be very good at that. That sort of multitasking that is required to do that. Probe getting caught a little bit there, but still doing an excellent job, I think, of keeping it alive this long. A little bit surprising, though. 2 cannons being thrown down. It feels like could have just got away with 1. But perhaps afraid that when they're kind of far away from the hatchery here, there could be a few more lings that have popped out that they have not seen. Oh, to answer the question from chat, because yeah, this isn't AI versus AI, this is human versus human. But in the AI matches that I sometimes stream on my channel, that are part of the SSC AIT stuff as well, they are impacted by Fog 4. They don't have perfect vision. And if you want to play against them, there is a wonderful app. You can look it up on schnail.org, where it comes with a whole Java client for picking which AI you want to play against, or they have a ranked mode where you can play against random AI. And you know, it launches, it doesn't work with remaster, so you will have to play in a 1.16 client, but they've added the ability to do custom hotkeys, so that way if you're Protoss players, say, and you don't want to have to hit P to make your probes because you're used to now hitting like Q or something like that, you can set up your shortcuts that way. Or sorry, not oh well, there's my custom games record. Apparently I think I hit 0 and it did that. That's nice. My nice 2 wins 10 losses, right? Or at least I think is that my custom? I don't think that's my custom games. I don't know whose custom games that is. That's kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, so it's a really nice client. It's usually, if you follow the instructions, pretty easy to get set up and installed, and they do have a Discord where if you have any issues, you can ask questions. And that probe was live for until like 5:28. That's a really long time in my eyes for like tier 3. That's a long time to keep your scout there. It looks like we're seeing the same sort of Hydralisk play. So neither of these players really going, although, I mean, it makes sense, I guess, for Jarcino, although you do sometimes still see Stargate come out in Corsairs, even against Hydralisks, because then that forces some Hydralisks to have to stay home. You know, you can try and find gaps. You can force some Overlords back to sort of shrink the field of vision that the Zerg has, because they can't have Hydralisks everywhere, right? Especially at this stage of the game. But it looks like Jarcino doesn't like to do that Stargate sort of play, and is instead going for this sort of gateway man style here into the High Templar. Well, this time we do have leg speed coming up online before the Templar archives. It's a fair amount of Hydralisks out here. I don't know if range was researched yet. Lair is morphing on its way. So I was thinking, if range is finished, could start trying to pick off this gateway and the forge. What is this little zealot doing tucked in here? It's coming out now. That was a strange place for a zealot to be. Gonna find this base here, but there's no drones. Just the Hydralisks are gonna try and run away. Dada noticing that zealot there, going ahead and gonna give a little bit of a chase, but it's just one zealot. It's running away now, so. Oh, it had actually poked into, the chat is saying it poked into 12 and had hit it earlier. Okay. I did not notice the little blip on the minimap make it up there. Now we do have the Hydralisks out here getting caught by the Zealots, being forced to run back here. This is a pretty strong Zealot force, some good early aggression. We didn't see this from game 1, I think, by Jarcino, but now we're seeing it coming up here into the mineral only, running past the mineral only, trying to attack the 12 o'clock base, but with the pathing, they actually just ran through the mineral only, but now backing up a bit, catching some of these Hydralisks on move command, catching some drones. Doing some applying some damage here with these these zealots rather. Tearing these Hydralisks apart. Very nice move there by Jarcino. The sunken does finish, but there should be enough zealots here, I think, to clean this sunken up. At least some more reinforcements streaming in here for Jarcino. Storm is on the way, as well as the armor upgrade. A nice 8 zealots here going to tear this mineral only apart. And a few drones get hatched here. A little bit of a missed opportunity there. Actually manages to get a couple of them back. But I think this mineral only won't be able to be saved. There's some more zealots on the way. If I could get them in the group so we can just keep tabs on how many zealots are out right now. It's a very nice aggressive move by Jarcino. Now this 12 o'clock is free reign to take out too. There's not enough units here. Not going to be able to march into the natural just yet, but suddenly this game has flipped from like what we saw in game 1, and now Zerg is on their heels here. Very strong play here by Jarcino. Couple of lurker eggs morphing here, but Hakaru's still here. That's all that matters. That's not all that matters, but I don't think there's an observer out yet, though. The robotics facility is down, but there's no observatory that I can find. So the lurkers should be able to push this back and give Dada a bit of breathing room here. Yeah, they're going to have to be careful the way they push that they don't lose the lurkers while they're unburrowed, and Jarcino's going to need to try and slow this down. Observatory's still not started yet. But the High Templar are out, so the High Templar can hurt. Oh no, the High Templar, they're just kind of wandering out here. No! The High Templar did not choose violence this day, and instead the Zerg did, so that is very unfortunate for Jarcino, losing those 2 High Templar, but they do have a lot still back at home. Could have got some storms off, though, with those 2, but in the end, like, army count-wise, I don't think it's that bad, but it is allowing the Zerg here to get this 3rd reestablished, and more lurkers on the way. The observatory still not down? Oh no, okay, it is down in this corner. It did get planted at some point. But no observers being made just yet. And the slow overlords that are over the rally point of Jarcino being cleaned up by the Dragoons now. Nice amount of High Templar here for Jarcino. The zealots that were hanging out at 12 going ahead and heading not back home, but spreading out. I like that, making sure that, you know, there aren't any other expansions around. That Zerg is indeed still just on 3. Maybe could have left 1 here to keep tabs on it, but I definitely like them moving around the map as opposed to all just staying up here at 12. And now we've got the worker transfer down here. We've got a 4 base Protoss, feeling much nicer than they were on Fighting Spirit, being contained to just the 2 bases for so long and then the 3rd base. Well, behind this, what are the upgrades right now? 1-1 for Protoss, and the Zerg is at 0-0. Zerg getting a little bit reset because of that losing this mineral only and this 12 o'clock position. These lurkers are pretty clumped up too, which if Jarcino chooses to push into this before those lurkers are moved, that would be very nice for storms. Jarcino going ahead and gathering their troops, does spot the 1 spotter out there, cleans it up, and now it looks like is moving ahead with the army, so they will be pushing into this. I feel like with the army that Jarcino has, this fight with the Sunkens, though, it's hard for me to call because I don't have a lot of experience of actually controlling these. Oh no, but the Hydralisks actually move out, run into this army. Do pick off some of the High Templar, just 2 of them though. They're going to be forced to fall back. A couple of storms coming. Oh, Storm's their own observer though. And now the High Templar run into the Sunkens. A few really good storms though. Really resets the Protoss army here. Or sorry, the Zerg army, but the Protoss army took a lot of losses there. Still has a storm on one of the High Templar, but we'll see if it actually gets cast or not. Now, it's very unfortunate. The storm on top of the own observer, losing vision of the lurkers, and then the High Templar hovering as they do. Their idle animation is kind of interesting too. There we go. I was hoping that storm would happen, cleaning up the weak lurkers there. But Dada is very, very starved for gas right now. Being on just 2 gas, lurkers are very, very gas heavy, and this is a mineral only that Dada is really fighting to hold. Which I think works in the Protoss's favor here. If that's the base you're contending, and Zerg is not retaking this, and not getting another 3rd gas, like, you've got to be really happy. Like, you would just trade all day here if the Zerg's not going to expand, I feel. Moving up, there's only 1 lurker. Has to be careful of those Sunkens. That's a lot of Sunkens. Nice storm on top of the Hydralisks. They're really melting that Zerg army. Yeah, it feels like Jarcino is very much in control of this game here. It's interesting. Jarcino this game opting to not really clear out space in front of their in their natural choke there. Some more gateways being thrown down by Jarcino, getting that macro up. Yeah, you just look at the supply difference though, 150 to 64. And again, because it's only the 2 gases, Zerg is really starved and not high on the lurker count after that exchange where they lost pretty much all the lurkers. But the longer Jarcino takes to engage with the Zerg, the more time Zerg has to build back up, right? So it has to be a little bit careful of that, but it's going to take it a fifth. That's a nice little group here. I think Jarcino is suspecting that maybe this 12 o'clock was retaken, or just checking to make sure that up over here is not taken. Oh, Dragoon AI, what are you doing? Now this 12 o'clock does get found, but Dada's army is not in position to defend it. Some lurkers morphing and feels like they've closed this lane, but this little Dragoon army had already got out on the map, so pulling a few Hydralisks back now to try and deal with it, but now having to pull back pretty much the whole army. These Hydralisks getting left a bit exposed here. They do manage to hatch those with relative safety. Now trying to take out this hatchery. Will Jarcino be able to do so before Dada's army gets there? And they are able to do so. Meanwhile, also pushing the mineral only because the army was pulling back to try and save that 12 o'clock. Jarcino getting caught here a little bit, being sandwiched by some Dragoons on the high ground there, firing down onto the low ground, and then these Hydralisks getting stuck on this ramp here, kind of trying to pull them up. You lurkers do manage to get in. The observer a little out of position here. But there's another observer here, gets a storm off, cleans up the lurkers, and the Zerg is again reset back to just 2 bases. Dada trying to not get caught too far in their choke, trying to see if they can retake this high ground, but reinforcements pouring in. Now we've got Dark Templar, and it's still, I think, just slow overlords. And the Dark Templar are going to do some cleanup here. They do have to be careful. There is an overlord right here. There's no Corsair to push back these overlords, but nice storm going down. Doing a ton of damage to those Hydralisks. And now just marching into the front here. These Dark Templar dealing a lot of damage to the Sunkens. There's still a lot of Sunkens here, though. But yeah, I think this game... While Zerg has a fair amount banked, you know, they're limited by the fact that they can only have up to 3 larvae at a time at each hatchery. They clear that bit, but there's just this stream of Zealots and Dark Templar coming in here. As long as Jarcino keeps the macro up, which it looks like they are, and keeps flooding in reinforcements, yeah, those lurker eggs are going to be a bit problematic because they're going to kind of sit on top, or not sit, but like block the way to those Sunkens. But I don't think that Dada's really going to be able to push out here. And another check at that 12 o'clock just to make sure that there's nothing there. Quick look at the upgrades real quick here. We got 2-1 for Jarcino, and if I can just get one of these 1-0 for Dada. Dada looking to see where the Protoss army is. Sees that they're up on the high ground, and then like this, Jarcino again just making sure there's nothing anywhere else on the map. Making sure that they are fully aware of the situation, that yes, the Zerg is just at the 2 bases now. And we did have the Hive, but we don't have Hive Tech. Another hatchery being thrown down here to try and be able to spend on larva, but Dada's almost mined out here. Now we do have a push. These lurkers are gonna do a lot of work. But Jarcino has the bank to be able to just replace them. But those lurkers dealt a lot of damage there. And these gateways, some of them are sitting idle for quite a while. Jarcino perhaps doing a bit of army management at the moment. Now Dada trying to push up into this mineral only. Again, I'm kind of surprised that Jarcino is Dada is pushing for the mineral only and not trying to just like get into the gas base, but because I feel like as Zerg to you, you know, the gas base is going to be more important, but just not quite having enough here to take that. And with that, actually, Dada recognizes the situation, sees the natural mind out, the main about to 19 minerals left, goes ahead and gives the GG to Jarcino, which will give Pacific Fire the lead here in the quarterfinals up against them. Go ahead and update that real quick, jumping up to 2-3. And 2 hours and 16 minutes into the cast here, we'll go ahead and get our third matchup set up here, which is going to be NoobyNevie up against Doob. Also update the score here. It's a very strong play there from Jarcino in Game 3. Going ahead and taking a nice, good macro game win there. And so up next we do have a Terran versus Protoss. And we will have Doob spawning as the red Protoss in the top right of Fighting Spirit. And NoobyNevie spawning as the blue Terran down in the bottom left of the map. So we've got cross positions here, which, as Artosis likes to say, I think it's like, what, 2-base Arbiter or 2-base Carrier or something like that that's cross positions. There's just nothing you can do, right? So we'll see what the players decide to go for here. And I like how Doob has, like, basically the ASCII hand. Basically, the name looks like a face, right? And then an ASCII hand given the middle finger. That's great. I love it. And let me just almost choke on my drink and die. That's also good, right? Ooh, I didn't choke. I almost did. Drink shot right to the back of my throat unexpectedly. But I stopped it from going into my airways, and that's what's important. So we can continue with this cast. Interesting depot placement. Because you're not going to be able to get a comsat now, unless you destroy this depot. I also got the gas before the barracks, which is a bit interesting. It's funny, I did that once in a practice game. I did depot, and then I did refinery, and then barracks. And like, from then on, everything was just off. And I'm like, everything just feels really off this game, and I don't know why. Like, I don't have the minerals, I think, or I have more gas, and I should be building my factory now, and I can't. You know, it's just stuff like that. And then when I look back, it's like, oh yeah, I did 11 gas, 12 barracks. Whoops. But yeah, because like, as you can see, for example, here, the barracks just finished, and Newbies had well over 100 gas for a little while and couldn't get that factory started. But now the factory does get thrown down. I think this is marine tight. This is not marine tight, I think. I'm just thinking if there was early zealot aggression, this Sim City could cause some problems, but Thirst Dark Templar play could cause some problems too, because not going to be able to get that comsat scanner, and also that's just going to make it hard to not play blind. Now trying to do, or this probe rather, trying to do a little bit of harass, but going to be chased off by the Marine. Machine Shop getting thrown down there, so could still be some Vulture play, but probably going to be tanks. This Marine getting a little too ambitious, needs to fall back, but instead just going to go ahead and chase the probe. Looks like Noobie scouted to the right. Didn't see anything, so then scouted cross. Didn't see anything, so going to get that last scout on the opponent. Siege tank in the works. Back home for the Protoss. Goon range is on the way. That scout is going to meet this Dragoon, which was on attack move. Will the SCV get in? It's still a little too early to see the tech, but could see this core spinning. Does see the core spinning, so if they see that, that gives them some indication of what Protoss is doing. Might not have seen this Nexus though. I think the Nexus actually went down after the SCV, or just as the SCV was getting in, so that's a lot of Marines. So we might actually see, like, I think this is going to be a fake double actually, because there's no second factory. Siege mode is being researched, so when we get like 2 or 3 tanks, I think we should see like 1 more tank. Okay, we're doing Vulture, so the push out should happen now. Yep. So moving out with the 2 tanks here. Tip that can be really good too, if you're doing this sort of thing, is if you bring at least 1 SCV along, you can move out with the SCV forward to keep tabs on where the Protoss army is, how many Dragoons there are, where are they trying to you know, come around and flank you, or, you know, from a different position, that sort of thing. Just so that way you're not caught off guard by the Protoss. But not enough Dragoons, gonna have to run back here. This gateway added maybe a little bit late. A lot of minerals floating right now for doob. Doob throwing down a forge at the natural. Siege mode is complete, so this natural could start to be sieged here. Not quite all of the Marines in the fight here. Looks like this is also, if you had brought a SCV along, if that SCV is still alive, throw down a bunker. That's going to expand the life of these Marines and just make it so much harder for Protoss to take this natural back. Start throwing down turrets, start throwing down depots. Make life unhappy for the Protoss. But that's coming as a Terran player. But this was pretty well executed by Noobie here. Getting up into the natural, forcing the goons back onto the high ground here, taking this natural essentially away from the Protoss. Getting the natural here set up, needs to do the transfer and do the stuff back home to really capitalize on this. But yeah, excellent move and play here by Noobie, denying this natural from Doob. And now Doob's gonna have to try and break this small force down here. Noob trying to push up into the high ground here. Noobie doesn't need to do this. You know, Noobie can just sit back in this natural and force Doob to have to deal with it, right? And then behind that, get your natural up and running, add more factories, and when Protoss finally does come down here, take a third. Because now at this point you can go up a base, right? But yeah, it looks like Doob trying to break this out does have... Ooh, that mine... Oh, and another mine backfiring. That's, you know, trying to push up this hill with those mines can be really dangerous because of that. Now, granted, there are just the 2 Dragoons here. And so now Noobie is going ahead to pull back a bit. And now just sort of play this natural denial, right? So moving into the natural denial with maybe a little bit weaker of a force than could have been, but in the end, we're getting to the same place, floating a lot of minerals and gas because microing that played pretty heavily. +1 attack started for Terrence, so looking pretty good there. Going up to 4 gateways now because Doob really just needs to make an army and retake this natural, right? Because without doing so, they're just going to be stuck on 1 base. They did manage to squeak out a probe at some point here, so they do have a probe down here. They could just start a 2nd base here if Noobie doesn't scout it, but yeah. I mean, moving around with those vultures a little bit, I feel like, you know, at this point, you're Noobie, you just kind of sit back with your vision at home. Maybe, you know, scout here real quick, scout here, just make sure there's nothing. There's no need to try and push up in here and force the issue. If you just sit back, wait for the Protoss to come to you and focus back at home, maybe send some reinforcements up here. But remember, this supply depot's in the way. We don't have an academy, but if we did, you know, like there'd be no way to get a comsat at the main. You want to make SCVs the natural. You're playing a little bit blind, right? Doob could be, there's an observatory out now, so there's a robotics facility. There could have been a robotics support bay and shuttles in response to try and, like, you know, either counter with the Reaver, or really you'd need the Reaver to deal with this, but Noobie doesn't know really what's going on in the Protoss main right now, which can be a scary situation as a Terran player, not knowing what the Protoss exactly is going to try and throw at you. But I like this now, getting this. Don't have to scout, I think, with all of the vultures. A little bit of a misclick there, ending up in the tree, which I've never really zoomed in on. The remastered graphics, so pretty leaves. But gonna find it. Oh, no, goes past it. The probe, you could have walled. You could have made the pylon wall, and then they couldn't come back up there, but they would have just come around. But this is going to get found and cleared up. But with the vultures out, Doob knows all the vultures are gone. Doob could push down here and clear this natural out. A turret ring is being started just in case there is a Reaver shuttle attempt on the main. I think Doob is maybe waiting for leg speed here. We'll see if this push happens. 2nd armory coming down. Is there a science facility, though? I don't see a 2nd science facility, so I'm not sure why the 2nd armory right now. Leg speed just finished up. Let's see. Is Doob gonna move down? Sends 1 zealot. Now gonna just send the rest. Good split up of the zealots there. Doob's gonna be able to break this down, but they've been stuck on 1 base for so long. The other thing is, back home, like, the macro has not been very strong for Noobie, so, you know, 2k minerals, 1k gas, Doob might be able to just counter and win almost here. Chasing this tank all the way home. There's only 4 tanks back home and some vultures. This game could flip on its head very quickly here. The army is marching across the middle here. Looks like Doob's maybe thinking that Noobie already has a 3rd, moving over towards the 3rd position, but gonna find that empty. And then set up shop there to deny that third. Meanwhile, going ahead and expanding on the high ground over here and not their natural. So interesting choice of expansion. Going ahead with the observer to scout and see what's here at the choke. It's 3 tanks. There is a pack of vultures here. Gonna decide to move in along this path here instead of across the bridge. But this ramp causing some problems for the army, not quite making it down. So this is a pretty decent force. A little bit of disjointed fighting happening there, but these can get on top of the tanks here. Yeah, with the vulture reinforcements, I think going to be able to repel this, but a lot of damage done actually, since those factories are just sitting there idle right now. And Noobie only on 3 factories too. Now throwing down a 4th one. So now also taking the natural here for Doob. I feel like Doob really was on the ropes there for a bit with that initial push by Noobie, but now, you know, getting themselves back into a stronger position here, getting the 2 bases set up. You know, worker count is low though. I would have loved for them to continue to be pumping workers on that 1 base. That way, once they bust out, they could just flood workers to the natural, flood workers to 3 o'clock, have your bases fully saturated really quick. But now needs to go ahead and keep producing workers at the other bases. Actually could transfer some more. There we go. We got a transfer happening here. It's like maybe checking out their 3rd base here. Not quite taking it. Supplies are even right now. Clearing out some mines though. Doob starting to climb ahead, which Protoss should be ahead at this stage. Very mineral starved right now. The main mining out. And I have finished my drink. Gonna have to grab another one after this game, I think. It's like Noobie here trying to poke out a little bit, maybe replant some mines, but the goons here should be able to deny this without any tank support. And a little bit too far with those. I have the 3 machine shops here for Noobie, which you can't support off a 2 base, and Noobie's also got the bank to build those tanks, but gonna hit a supply block here pretty soon. Needs to start throwing down some depots. And now that Doob is able to get kind of a presence on the map, taking that top left as well. I like that. In response to Terran setting up the 3rd, you go ahead and take your 4th, right? But these vultures actually now able to get out. Observer should have seen them, but maybe not quite. Could cause a little bit of a headache here, depending on where they go. But there are some cannons at some of the bases, so... And there's nothing in the main to really kill, so... Gonna score a few probes, but like... I managed to find a spot that's not protected by the cannons, but then the vultures are gonna go ahead and move a bit into... Or the vultures are going to move into the cannon range, going to go ahead and get cleaned up. But Doob pulls the entire army back to deal with that. Giving some space for Noobie. And while that's happening, this 3rd is built, but not being set up, right? There's no worker transfer. There's no workers being made. So that's going to be slowed down when, or how fast, I should say, that Noobie gets to see any kind of benefit from it. With the pullback of the whole army, though, that does give Noobie some room to maneuver, and it looks like sending some vultures and some tanks over to that bottom right. A little bit of a skirmish happening here at this 9 o'clock base. 4 zealots should be able to take these tanks out. Vultures are going to come in and try and defend and clean this up, but a few workers are going to get caught up as well. Main is mined out, and the workers are empty or sitting idle there. As Noobie is trying to get the Vulture Micro here to go ahead and take out those Zealots. Meanwhile, a lot of gateways here, kind of just in this vertical line. Some more pylons being thrown down. This top left getting established. Now these tanks and these vultures looking to maybe do something, but get spotted by Doob. Doob pouncing on this, going after those tanks. Should clean this up without too much issue. This third base here at the 9 o'clock still not really mining a whole lot. And Noobie actually growing or gaining in supply here. Worker counts are still very, very low for both players. Looks like Doob finding another small Terran force and repelling that pretty well there. Needs to be careful though, because they're still lower in supply here. The NoobyNevie apparently just does not believe in comsats. Still doesn't have one. Getting a turret where a comsat station could be built. Let's have a nice, healthy tank count, though. Dude, looking to press into this third here, and actually there's not a whole lot here. If they can get up onto the high ground. There's one tank there that's very heavily damaged. But deciding not to press the issue further. And it's just going to go ahead and reposition. Meanwhile, Doob has gone ahead and taken this base. It's not populated by workers yet. And now with more bases, the worker count for Doob is growing to more what it should be in the matchup here. But oh, this is a lot of tanks. They're moving out. Doob's not careful. There's no... Stargates are just now being thrown down, and the amount of Stargates that are getting thrown down, I feel like a fleet beacon's going to be next. Instead of Arbiter Tech, so... It's like Doob's gonna go ahead and try to get carriers, but actually really low on minerals right now. Doesn't have a lot going on. I mean, there are just like the 3 mining bases, and Doob has been low on workers for quite a while, so it's gonna be a little bit actually before this other base even becomes a factor in the game, I think. Meanwhile, the Terran army is marching across here, kind of low in supply, only at 126, but, you know, not as actually ahead of Protoss, which is not the situation that Protoss wants to be in. Trying to get a bit of a pincer attack here for Doob, but The tank's not sieged. Gonna take a lot of damage from these Dragoons, and yeah, just too small of a force trying to push forward. And doesn't have the 2-1 upgrades either, and actually is getting ship weapons, which I feel like might be a misclick. Instead of getting the vehicle plating, which is P on the keyboard. I don't think they would have hit H, because that's the short, or no, yeah, for ship weapons, I think it's H, or is it, yeah, because W, I think, is the vehicle weapons, or is it V? Now I'm not remembering, and I'm questioning everything about the fact that I'm a Terran player, but Doob was able to crush that attack pretty well once it was trying to go across the middle, and that's something you got to be careful with as a Terran, as well as that if you move out into wide open space, Protoss can come at you from more angles, get more surface area to their attack on you, and clean it out, or clear it out. Someone in the chat saying he's going battle cruisers. That could be the case, but there's only one starport. Science facility was made, but I feel like that's more for upgrades. I don't think battle cruisers are going to be coming into play here. Now we do have Doob sensing the weakness after crushing that attack force. Going to go ahead and charge in here. I don't think they're going to be able to bust into the natural, but they can really push this back, clear out some of these mines, and basically take the Terran back to this, just this corner of the bridge and that base up there for the third. Now we have science vessels being made, which do not benefit from the ship weapons. This base, while it was built, still not mining minerals. I have a feeling that the carriers are going to be the end of the game. What I am foretelling is probably that these carriers are going to pop. They're going to attack the Terran base, and then the Terran is going to GG. I may be completely wrong, but having seen enough TVPs, I have a feeling that's where this is going. Oof, that was a pretty bad exchange there for the Terran, losing a lot of units for no real gain against the Protoss army there. And so Protoss can just kind of sit back, you know, get these carriers, just let the Terran keep throwing away units. And sometimes that could be hard as Terran to sort of just be like, okay, I need to just sit back, hit 200, 200, and then move out, right? Also, the upgrades seem to have stopped at 2-0, so they at least did get to the 2 attack, but they didn't get to the 1 vehicle plating. Now, a little bit of ramp issue, trying to get up onto that high ground, but a bit of pathing issues here for the units. They're cowering in the corner here by the... Are those plants, or is there... No, those are rocks. Weird rock formations with plants growing out of them. Protoss will happily accept that sacrifice of supply. Now Terran trying to move out here, but they're still like not moving out with tank support, and there's a lot of goons, so being forced to fall back to the tanks here. 4 carriers on the way, interceptors being made, so carrier count currently at 3. Oh, and I just noticed too, there's only 2 workers on the gas here. 3 there. And there's 3. Well, there were 3. Now there's 2. Now there's back to 3. So I was wondering why Newbie was really low on gas right now, but that's also 2. They're pumping 3 tanks. That's 300 gas. This one is depleted, so they're basically just operating on 2 refineries. So it makes sense that they would be We're really low on gas right now. They're not getting anything out of the factories that don't have machine shops, or in one of them. Oh, and they just slammed down a whole bunch of tanks. Okay. In one of the factories, so. That explains it a little bit. Now they're moving out here just with the tanks and a few Goliaths. It needs to be careful. Yeah, the tanks sieging up now. Pushing those Dragoons back a little bit, but defense matrix to Dragoon and it still got melted by the tanks. That just shows you how OP tanks are, right? The carrier count now up to 7. Terran trying to push forward again with a bit of too small of a force. Actually, these are like pathing really weird. I guess the click was oddly right where that observer is. And now the Goliath going ahead and targeting it. But now here come the carriers. And Doob is at 199, 200. I think this is the first essentially max out that we've seen in this game. There's more carriers on the way, but this third is going to fall. And now I think this force here for the Terran is going to fall too. If these, yep, and there's the GG. As I foretold, carriers came in, swooped in, and the great Terran player GG's. But fun game from both of them. 30-minute game there. Let's Doob taking the lead 1-0 for Pacific Fire in this series is the word I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and get ourselves into game 2. We're on a 2-player map, Polaris Rhapsody. Actually, really quick before I start this game, I'm going to step away for a brief moment. I need to refill my drink. And I need to use the restroom real quick. So if you want to grab a snack or something, I'd say you probably got like 2-3 minutes. I'll be right back. Back to this funky Terran music. Let's go into. Okay, I'll stop singing because I can't sing. But I came back and it was the funky Terran music. Like, come on now. Right, we're on game 2 on Polaris Rhapsody. We've got Doob spawning as the red Protoss up at the top left. And we've got NoobyNevie spawning as the blue Terran down in the bottom right. So I think in the game 1 that we watched, Noobie executed the fake double really well, got the Protoss pushed back into the main, but where it fell apart was the macro, right? Just didn't have the macro behind it to keep that army count high. But at the same time, I think Doob's macro was not as strong as it could have been either. And so that sort of just drug out the game, right? Took a long time for us to see a max out from either player. My viewer count go down when I was singing there? It's all good, it's all good. We've got Noobie here looking like nine supply. We don't have the depot yet. Looks like I guess they're going for like a 10 depot here. In base gateway for Doob, so no cheese shenanigans happening here. Scout coming across the map, gonna get into Noobie's base. See the gas finish. Looks like... Okay, I was thinking maybe trying to do a manor pylon here. Has the money for it. Doesn't quite throw one down. I'm gonna go ahead and back off here. Be sending out the scout of their own. Going across the map there. That beautiful little SCV. Looks like we might get some zealot aggression this time from Doob. And we will see how Noobie does handling that zealot aggression if the zealot goes all the way across the map. Normally if you do that though, I think you want to try and keep the probe alive in there. So that way the probe can also cause some issues and harass. So this zealot might just stay home. But there are more zealots being made. So that could also just be like a defensive response too to the fact that, okay, you did a fake double on me. You know, I'm thinking you might do that again. I'm going to get some zealots this time. Now we have the zealots coming across the map. Feels a little bit late because vultures are going to be able to be out in time. And actually going vulture first this time instead of getting tanks. Let's see if the marine production is continuing though, so this could still be an early aggression build. Maybe opting for the vultures instead of tanks given the zealot opening. I know, and the vulture on move command taking a lot of damage from the zealot there. Oof, getting caught again. And actually, the marines are kind of in the way. It's like maybe Noobie was thinking about the double hug there. I was thinking about doing like an early expand here. Has a pretty decent group of Marines that were doing some damage there. Managed to pick off one of the Zealots. There's more Zealots on the way, though. Yeah, Marines can get some good DPS in numbers. This Vulture trying to get out and not get caught by the Zealots here. And now coming in with the Zealots here. Bunker being placed in the main, which is a huge win for Doob here, because there's no further aggression coming. And managed to force 100 minerals here into this bunker, and this natural is still not down. So, meanwhile, the natural of Doob coming up here. So, great move, great win there by Doob, forcing that move out of NoobyNevie. Now NoobyNevie trying to get this command center down here. And we've got the 4 Dragoons marching across the map here. Which there's a decent amount of Marines here, but there's no bunker down on the low ground. This tank is damaged. It could get picked off by the Dragoons if they just commit, and they do pick off one of the tanks. So very nice trade there for the Protoss. Some shield for a tank. It looks like Noobie's gonna try and push with this, but trying to push across this bridge does take one of the Dragoons out, and just does not have enough to really continue that push. So being forced back there by the Protoss, but now trying again with this force. There are reinforcements on the way. If these 6 Dragoons can meet up with this force, I think they'll be able to handle the Terran army pretty well here. I don't see the machine shop spinning up, so I don't think there's anything being researched at the moment. Well, I mean, yeah, there is nothing being researched at the moment. I don't think anything has been researched yet. Doob taking out that Vulture. I feel like Doob could move across and do some damage here, but also holding this bridge is doing pretty well. Now it looks like Noobie maybe thinking about going around the bridge. Okay, mines were researched. Okay, so Noobie did get mines out of that machine shop. Going ahead and link some on this little bridge here. Has their natural command center. Both players very low on workers though, so Doob got up to or got the natural up so much faster than Noobie, but did not continue to build the workers at both bases, and so Doob here doesn't quite have the advantage that they could based on how this has gone, sacrificing a goon there so that they can go ahead and get across the map. There's just the 2 tank siege mode's not done yet, so if these Dragoons marched into the base here, I feel like they could maybe make some magic work there. They could take out some tanks. Some issues now. The Terran moving up here, running into Doob. And the tanks without any cover being forced to fall back, and still no siege mode. Doob not wanting to engage, going ahead and pulling those Dragoons back. Some repairs being made here, but yeah, just the army is like so small. Like Noobie keeps trying to make move outs with small pockets of army, which is usually not what you want to do as Terran. You'd usually want to move out against Protoss as like a big ball. So that way they kind of, like, almost like you do with Bio Terran against Zerg. You want like that big Marine medic ball. Here you want like that big tank vulture ball with some Goliath mixed in that the Protoss sort of has to respect and doesn't necessarily want to engage. Here we have Noobie making another move out here with about 5 tanks, I think it is. 6 tanks, sorry. The Observer just missing this move out here. Siege mode going down, but two of the tanks falling. Doob, not quite. If Doob, I think, had reacted to that a little bit faster, could have probably taken out some more of those tanks. We got some more Dragoons coming out onto the field here for Doob. Zealot speed on the way, a few more Zealots as well. Both armies looking kind of small, and again, still the worker count still very, very low. 32 for Doob, 28 for NoobyNevie. Second gas now being taken for Noobie. Like, is this a probe up in the top right? It is, so it looks like Doob's gonna go for the double gas base here. One thing that Doob does not have vision on, though, is the factory count, so Doob doesn't know if this is like 3 factory and ship weapons being upgraded again. Huh. A bit of an engagement here. Looking a bit of an even trade. Actually, a little bit better for Doob. Terran pretty much losing all of their tank. Yeah, literally losing all but one of their tanks. Almost. Literally losing all of their tanks. So it's a bit unfortunate to see there. Protoss behind this, the Acro, there's only a small reinforcement of like 4 Zealots here. And again, the worker count, I think, is really hampering Doob a lot. Because while there's still only like 4 gateways, the minerals look low, and sometimes that could be misleading, right? If your worker count is low, and your mineral and gas are low, you know, you might be feeling like, oh, you know, I'm macroing really good, like my money's down, I'm not able to make a whole lot. But then you go back and look at the replays, like, oh, I only have like 40, like 29, 30 workers for a while, then finally 40, and you realize that's why your minerals were low. And so that can be something that's hard to notice in game, because you don't have a nice little count of how many workers you actually have while you're live in the game. We have the a small teensy probe transfer happening here over to the right. Oh, this observer scanning around here, just making sure Terran is still just on 2 bases. There is an observer here squeaking into the Terran base here. Science vessel able to see it. The supply depot is going to be in the way of the control tower here on the starport, so that's going to have to lift the move. We are seeing an academy this game, so we might see some comsat. Since there is no depot blocking, no turret or anything blocking over here. Goliath coming in to chase that observer away thanks to the science vessel. Noobie's moving up along this right side here. I'm wondering, yep, okay, there is a command center. So it looks like they're moving in order to take this expansion here, and Doob, seeing the army move up there with this observer, is going to move into position to make sure that that army is not coming towards them. But doesn't see what the army is doing, or that this mineral only is being taken. Moving the observer up there now does see that this was just to set up a defense of this position. But Doob still has to respect it. Doing a better job this game of being up on supply over the Terran, but very close to a supply block here. There's no pylon or nexus being made. I would love to see Doob take another base as well in response to the Terran taking this one. In this game, we're getting Arbiters instead of carriers. The Arbiter Tribunal is finishing up in the main here. And fish work in, and I think there's only one. Yeah, there's only the one Stargate, so. Bit of a different tech path this game for the Protoss. Really, Terran. Still only at 76, just throwing down a 4th factory now. Yes, yep. And getting battle cruiser, so battle cruisers are showing up this game. Which is an interesting choice. You're trying to come in from 2 different angles here, one with the Zealots and one with the Dragoons. Getting the Zealots on top of the tanks, they're forcing the lift of the command center. Very well executed there by Doob. Very nice move to sort of force that command center to have to lift there. We'll be trying to maybe re-secure this position, trying to chase off that observer. The observer does see the battle cruiser. But really, the Dragoon count is pretty good here. Just needs to be careful to not lose them to tanks. Oh no, this battle cruiser needs to fall back, so it doesn't get caught by these Dragoons here. Are these on patrol? I think those were on patrol there, the way that they were moving. So in this game, the ship weapons upgrade is going to see some work here as the battlecruisers are coming out. We've thrown down some more Stargates. Okay, here's an Arbiter. I was gonna say, we haven't seen an Arbiter yet, but the Tribunal's been done for a while. Getting recall now, and this main is pretty open to it. I don't see any turrets. I don't even see an engineering bay. So this force recalled in the main could be a really, really bad situation for NoobyNevie. Going ahead, repositioning their army a little bit here. So yeah, there is a Discord for the Coach Pupil League. Give me just a second. It was shared earlier. For some reason, I can't get the link from Discord, but this was the link that was shared earlier. That should be the Discord for the Coach Pupil League. We are in the quarterfinals of the playoffs, so I don't think you'll be able to get added. Or sorry, we're actually this week. This is what's being cast as the quarterfinals. The semifinals are being played this week, and then the finals will be played next week. So I don't think you'll be able to get on a team for season 7, but still go ahead and join the Discord if you're interested. You know, there's people looking for games that you can still play with and stuff, and you can get in on season 8 when that starts up. Looks like with 3 battle cruisers here, the Terran army's looking to move forward into this, but Protoss army is gonna run back a little bit. But I really Yamato on a Dragoon there. I think, yeah, the Dragoons concentrating on the battle cruisers here are gonna be able to repel this. The Arbiter is made, but it is just sitting back home right now. One comsat made. I'm not sure if Newbie has used it to scan in the Protoss main. They are producing a lot of Goliaths right now, so maybe they have seen that there is that Arbiter in play. The bottom left now being taken. Is this? That Nexus seems to be a bit off. Like it could go further to the left there. Trying to take this mineral only again. Only 29 workers, a large amount of the workers working on not one little tile or mineral patch. Okay, we've got an Arbiter here with the energy for recall coming out of this top right base. Question is, where is it gonna go? Well, the Terran army is moving out here. I'm keeping an eye on that too, because it looks like we're gonna see another engagement here before an Arbiter gets wiped out, but there's just too many goons for the battle cruisers here. And again, this little attempt at a move out is going to be repelled. Doob is pretty much maxed out here. Good force here that could be recalled if it was clumped a little bit more. The Arbiter is on the move now. That little clearing of that Terran force, there's a little bit of zoom, a little bit of pep in its step. Gonna fly in here along the edge. I did nothing to stop it. And there is the recall in the main of the Terran. And with that will be the GG from Newbie. Doob taking the series 2-0, which is going to put Pacific Fire up 4-2 in this. Let's go ahead and update this. Then we'll go ahead and update this and so the question, when does Season 8 start? There is no date yet for when that will start. With Season 7 wrapping up next week, in terms of play, there's probably going to be, I would guess, this is my first season, so I'm not used to, I'm not sure how long they've historically been, but I would guess there's going to be at least a month, maybe 1 to 3 months before Season 8 starts up, because I would suspect that, all the staff, the wonderful staff that helped put this on, are going to want to take a nice little break, and then holiday seasons are going to come up and everything, so there's no date though on when it's going to start, but that doesn't mean that you can't, hop in the Discord, find people to play with, make some friends, maybe find some people that you want to be on a team with, because when you go ahead and sign up, you can usually say like, hey, I'd like to be grouped with these people, or this coach, and things like that. So it's really great and friendly community. And unfortunately, I really would like to cast these last 2 games, but we've been going on for about 3 hours right now. I'm actually kind of starting to fade a little bit in terms of energy and being really tired, so I think I'm going to have to stop the cast here. I'm really hoping that another caster will be able to pick up elpinguino versus character and Shantisquan versus SC2 heirs, because those are great players as well. I've casted some games from them. They've been entertaining, so I'm really hoping that those games can get picked up by somebody at some point here. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been a blast. We had some really long games played out here. From these, Pacific Fire was able to take the lead here in the quarterfinals against Cheese Police 4-2 so far, and I think that is including their Tier 2 and Tier 3 games in the score. So let's see who is online doing some StarCraft that we can go ahead and drop a raid to. Let's see, StarCraft. Let's see. Yeah, there's someone with 0 views. They are listed as the worst F in the game. Let's go ahead and give them show them some love. And thank you everybody for tuning in. And again, I'm sorry that I can't make it through the other 2 games. Like I said, I am just kind of fading here, so I'm going to have to call it a night. Thank you everybody. I hope you all have a good night and a great weekend. And until next time, take care everyone.